Wednesday afternoon. I have no pants on, but I still got my coffee. Let's do this. I am your host, Daniel Crosier, here with COFOH Live Undead, and my guest today is M.L. Miller. Oh, man, we're going to talk about his comics and horror, and it's going to be fun. Something on my face. Ho-ho! Mr. M.L. Miller. How are you, Mark?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. It's good to see you. It's been such a long time.
It definitely has. Yeah, I think last time I saw you at San Diego Comic-Con maybe a couple of years ago, but
Right.
obviously nothing's going on this year, so it's been quite a while, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you able to check out like San Diego Comic-Con online?
A little bit, not as much as I wanted to. It was just I was working and doing different things during that time, so it was tough, and it was a weird setup this year. So I think they're going to be able. Hopefully, they'll be able to like work out all the kinks and be better next year if they do it online. I don't know if that's the way comic conventions are going to be from now on. You just never know. But I did make it to C2E2 this year, though. That was like the last one before the entire shutdown. So that was a lot of fun. Had a nice experience there. Met with a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while, and I didn't know it was going to be the last time I was going to see them for such a long time because usually I see them at San Diego and New York and sometimes at Emerald City. So it's weird that I haven't, kept in touch with those guys as much anymore. Like you, I used to see you all the time at the cons. So
I know I was always lurking. It was weird. Like, there's that creepy bald guy.
Yeah. I was the same way. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Nice. Yeah, so, Mr. Miller, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from and how you got into comics.
Well, I guess my official career in comics started in when I started working at Ain't It Cool News, and I was doing reviews there. I would do interviews, and I would do all kinds of things. And I think that's how you and I got into touch, such a long time ago. And that was I think that was around 2001. And I did reviews. We did interviews and all kinds of different special things about comics, talking about everything from comics. And then I started a horror column there, and that kind of took off. And so while I was doing the interviews, I was much more interested in finding out just the business of comics and just the nuts and bolts of comics. And that really helped me understand it in a way that I almost felt like I was taking an online course by interviewing Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder and all of these big names that I loved through the years. And so finally, I don't know, it was a good decade of doing that before I even decided to give it a chance and try to make my own stuff. And so I just kind of submitted at a couple of places. I got involved in making an 8-page comic for a small independent company here out of Wisconsin. I live in Chicago, but I'm originally from Ohio. So, but they were nice enough to print it. It was really rough. It was stuff I just did by hand. I drew it. I photoshopped stuff. I took pictures of myself in action poses and just traced over it. So it was a fun little exercise, but it really did. I started to get kind of like the creative bug there. And so ever since I would say 2010, I've been trying to make at least one comic or one series a year. And it's been, somewhere in there I might have missed a year, but, I still have been bouncing around at some of the smaller publishers. And I haven't by any means made it or made my big break yet, but I feel like I understand the just the business and the industry so much more because of that almost 10-year course in interviewing everyone in comics and film and learning about stories, learning about how ideas are processed and made, all of that stuff. So it's been a interesting information gathering session for the last, I'd say 15 to 20 years for me, actually.
Oh, nice. You and I think we connected, like, it feels like something like 10 years ago, back when we were just wee pups.
Yes.
And I know we were talking about we were working on a pitch project or something. Yeah. In fact, I think with Facebook, with their algorithms, little nudges like, "Hey, don't you remember this? Get back on our website."
Yeah.
It brought up a wood burned image I did of some cows.
Yes, I remember that. Those were so good, and I have still looked back on that, and one of these days I'm going to get that project up and rolling. So expect that call one of these days. But I love that. It's a weird story about cows that no one seems to get except you and I. But I love that story, and I love your artwork that you provided for that. I think you also did like kind of a cover, wood burned cover pitch for a story called Born with a Tail that I was doing, and that one is still, it's one of those things where you get just a collection of ideas, and one of these days the right time for what idea it's going to just pop up, and hopefully I can use your wood burnings and stuff like that they were just gorgeous what you were able to put together. And hopefully that can actually come to pass. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen. I gave up trying to predict anything probably a couple of years ago, and especially this year.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, let me know when you want to get back on something like that. But Mark, tell us a little bit about some of your early projects here, because you predominantly write in the genre of horror, right?
Sure. Yeah. I first started out at a very small company called Blue Water, and they kind of became big by publishing political comics of just and there would be. I remember as soon as anything big happened in the news, about 3 weeks later, they would have a comic out for it, which is crazy, but they were able to do it. And I worked. The reason why I worked with them was because they had the properties to Vincent Price Presents, and so I did a version of The Tingler there. I did. I did a version of Witchfinder General, two movies that I hold near and dear to my heart, and it was fun. It's out there somewhere. It was work for hire, but I was also working for I see that as kind of like my internship. It got me into. It started. I was learning how to work with an editor and learning how to collaborate with people, because everything else that I'd done up to that point was just kind of like the Marvel Fumetti book, where it's just, you take pictures and you rudimentarily, whatever that word is, cut that picture out, and you scan it and you do all of that stuff. And I was doing it really the old fashioned, like, fanzine way, and it was a lot of fun. But this was the first time I'd ever worked with artists. I'd ever worked with editors and letters and things like that. So I did those two, and then I did a miniseries from them called Nanny and Hank, which actually got quite a lot of buzz and kind of it was just nice to kind of have it was an all ages book about vampires. And it was basically grandparents, a pair of grandparents are bitten by vampires, and their children or their grandchildren have a sneaking suspicion that something's wrong with their grandparents and they think they're vampires. So it was kind of a fun all ages story that it was definitely a response to the Twilight stuff, but because that was at that time True Blood and Twilight was really big. And so that was probably the really first kind of I don't know, something that really said, hey, I might be onto something. You know, people actually like this story. And it was optioned, but, you know, if something's optioned to be made into a film, you just never know when and where that'll ever pop up. It just means that it was bought, you know.
Well, that's great. You know, that's pretty wonderful, because, you know, not too many creators, get that or get something, you know, optioned. But we're kind of like, even now, you know, comic books are such an easy thing to sell into other mediums. You know, there's, you know, you got the storyboard. It's like, all right, this is the blueprint. Here we go.
Definitely, yeah, and that's what I have. Movies are just such a huge part of my life, and everything I see on the comic book, it's translating in my mind into a film, and how I can really communicate the best beats to actually have for the panels, and how to turn a page, how to end an issue. All of those things are really important, and so that sort of got me into it. Ain't It Cool News kind of got me the opportunity to do a couple of panels at San Diego Comic-Con and some of the other cons like New York and when C2E2 started. And so I got to meet a lot of creators, both comics and film directors and actors, just a lot of people who were in love with horror in the horror industry. And that really, again, we were just like-minded people, and we would get together. We would just talk a lot about comics and what kind of or comics and horror and how that works. Does it work? Is there a market for that in the industry? Which I think there is, but I think it's a very niche market, and I think also there's a stigma that goes with all horror, but even more so with horror comics, that people will have like their one big horror comic in their line, and then that'll be it. They'll be like, okay, we want to do more sci-fi. We want to do some YA stuff. We want to do maybe one superhero thing. But horror was never, I was always looking for that company that would publish nothing but horror, like, something that was dedicated to that. But I think the crossover audience is very similar. You know, I go to horror cons and I see the same types of people that I see at a lot of the horror of the comic conventions, and they're all amazing people, and it's just amazing to sit there and talk with those guys and just really just bullshit about the stuff that you grew up loving, and stuff that you still do love. I don't know. Are we allowed to swear here or no?
Oh, yeah, you've got such a fucking dirty mouth. Holy shit. My ears are bleeding.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. I didn't. It is in the afternoon. I don't want the kiddies to be offended. So
the kids are probably home from their Zoom class. So
that's true. Yeah.
Really watch your fucking mouths.
I will. From now on, no more fucking swears.
To be fair, if somebody's on here watching and there's some kid, what does that say to you as a parent?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
watching what they're watching, because we're the light end of this stuff. There's some hardcore stuff, mostly on.
Definitely, yeah. I have a niece and nephew right now, and so I try to be a little bit more mindful of that. But at the same time, as I'm watching horror, because I do a review site, ML Miller Writes, where I review a bunch of horror films, and I've got like a pretty huge. There it is. I've got a pretty huge archive of a lot of horror films, and my brother and sister-in-law ask me all the time, are there scary movies that we can show the kids? And so I've been just kept my eyes open for that, because I think that, I was indoctrinated pretty young as a kid into horror, and I think that all horror fans were, that you remember your first horror movie and or the first one you snuck in and kind of watched when no one else was looking and things like that. So it's just kind of fun to keep an eye out for. I mean, all ages horror, it can still be good. I love A Nightmare Before Christmas. I love like a lot of that stuff, and a lot of the Amblin stuff was very horror influenced. So.
Yeah, you got the like Poltergeist and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Monster Squad, stuff like that.
Yeah, Monster Squad. Oh my God, that's one I still watch. It's interesting to see how like a lot of that stuff really holds up, and how like perspectives change, especially as society changes too.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like,
definitely.
The kids calling each other's, homos. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, there are a lot of people that go, they're all about, either canceling that movie or editing it out. But really, I think that would be, if you were watching it with a kid who's never seen it before, that's a great opportunity for a conversation about that and about how things were less sensitive back then, and look at how far we've come. That's not okay anymore, and it's, I think that, you can tell kids to do all they want, but some of the worst mouths and some of the worst things to say to a person, you see on the playground, and you see, kids saying back and forth to each other. So at least maybe some of these movies can actually bring up that kind of conversation and actually help instead of, offend.
That's not a bad idea. Using it, it's like, okay, this word's not okay to say. This is why.
Yeah.
If you see somebody, saying that, it's like, what do you say to them? Tell them to cut it out.
Definitely.
If they're a nice little kid, like 18, tell them they're a doo-doo face.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Use those. Yeah. That's a good word to use instead of the alternative.
Right. It's kind of like our our current president. He's a big fat doo-doo face. It's like,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm so glad I'm using such safe words, because I would really, my ears would bleed if I heard myself say fuck. Oh crap.
Oh no, there they go. It's gushing up ears now. Yeah. It's a good thing I have these earphones on. Yeah, it's blocking the gushers out of my
there you go. It pressurizes, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. So I find it's really cool that you did that vampire all ages book. It's what a great thing too, to be able to share to to your niece and nephews, right?
Yeah, I gave them a copy, and they're just about the age that they can actually read it and look through it and kind of appreciate it. They're like 5 and 7 right now, so it's, I mean, the artwork is it's from an artist named Steve Babb, and he doesn't do a lot of comic work anymore, but his stuff is kind of like Mike Mignola meets the Muppets, and so all of his characters look like puppets, and it's really nice to see.
Nice.
But then after that, I kind of I met Raven Gregory, who was a really good friend, and he introduced me to the guys at Zenoscope, and they had been known for doing different kinds of fairy tales and dark versions of fairy tales. Usually they have kind of cheesecakey covers, but the interior, they have serious kind of horror themed stories. And Raven really liked Nanny and Hank, and he kind of introduced me to those guys, and I was able to do the Jungle Book with them. And so I did about 16 or 17 issues with them, with specials and miniseries through the years. And it's really was fun to kind of, and they gave me free reign over the characters just to do whatever I wanted to. Rudyard Kipling's stuff is in the public domain. Yeah. So really, I just kind of took a story and I gave it a little bit of a horror bent. It was just high action, high horror. And it really, I changed it a little bit. Game of Thrones was big at the time, so I made it kind of like Game of Thrones with animals, where there are warring tribes and different parts of the island of Kipling Island, and there was more than just Mowgli that lands on the island. It was 4 different kids, and they get picked up by different tribes of animals, and so they kind of take on the traits. So Mowgli's with the wolves, and you had other characters that were with the tigers, and there was one with the apes, who was King Louis and the apes. And so I was adapting not only just the Rudyard Kipling stuff, but also the cartoon from when I was a kid. And so it was a lot of fun to do that, and that's where I met a lot of my artists that I work with today. Carlos Granda worked with me on the first Jungle Book series, and ever since then, he's an artist that I want to work with forever. He's just such an amazing, detailed artist who basically he can draw anything. He's from Colombia, and so he and I talk via Skype and emails, and I'll go into his live chats while he's streaming on YouTube, where his drawing, and he'll be drawing panels from my book. So it'll be interesting to just sit there and see my own words come to life there. So it's really fun.
That's fun. You can go there and no, that's not where that goes.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to do it live on the live stream, but there was one time when I was I had some feedback once, but I said, all right, I'll just wait. Yeah, I'll just wait until the live stream's over with, and then we'll chat offline somewhere. But it wasn't anything big, but it was just a small detail in the story. But and then I had met a guy named Matt Pizzolo, who's another good friend of mine. He started Black Mass Studios, and it's a really eclectic kind of out there punk rock kind of. Sometimes they go political, sometimes they just they like different and weird ideas, and so he liked 2 of my ideas. One of them was Pirouette, which is a circus horror story and that trade paperback is coming out at the end of November and the beginning of December, in about a month or so. And then and then Brave Trancers was the second one that I had with them, and I worked with Carlos on Pirouette, and then I worked with James Michael Wynot on Brave Trancers, which was basically a ghoulish story in a cemetery where they make drugs from the dead bodies, and it's a nice Texas Chainsaw family kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre family vibe to it, but it's kind of a fun grindhousey kind of story that a lot of people have talked to me about it, and they really like the premise and they really like the story. James Wynot has a kind of like a punky kind of a graffiti kind of style that really fit the trippy aspects of the story, and it just really works. So it's been, and I've made it a habit of just staying in touch with all the artists, all the people that I've worked with, just trying to make sure that you never know what kind of project is going to come up and they might be perfect for it. So, and sometimes the stars align and they have a window in their schedule to do it. Sometimes not, and I have to go somewhere else, but that's just the way the world works. So.
Yeah, no, totally understand. Yeah. During this pandemic, too, have you been able to keep working, keep the jobs coming, or just focus on new ideas?
Yeah, jobs have slowed down, I think, and I think everybody is just kind of taking a step back and reevaluating what they want to put out, how they want to react to the changing marketplace. A lot of shops are closing, which is very, it's very sad to see. And hopefully once things are opening up, we'll see some more of those, or some more people taking a chance and getting out to the comic shops and doing that sort of thing. Plus there seem to be all kinds of new opportunities raising up. There's like crowdfunding, there's digital comics, and those are things that I've kind of flirted with in the past. But I really do love being able to hold my own comic, and there's just something, I don't know, it feels like an accomplishment to actually hold something that you created from the bottom up and actually have that as a possession, and now you can, I don't know, frame it, put it on your bookshelf, do whatever you want to do with it, but it's yours, and nobody can take that away from you. So.
Have that physical artifact right there.
Definitely. After the great cataclysm, somebody will unearth it and they'll be like, "What's this? What's this grave transfer story? This is kind of weird. What's this Nanny and Hank thing?" It's it'll be the new religion for the future. 1,000 years in the future.
Yeah, that'll be great. What a great way to judge humanity. Whoa, fucked up. Imagine if the little Steven Spielberg, Close Encounter of the Third Kinds type aliens. Mathematics and music is what they were about, and then they read your stuff and it's like, well, we're packing up, let's get out.
We're just gonna blow it up, scorch the earth, and let's get out of here. Nothing to see here.
We don't need to be somebody's sausage. little
Very true.
Sausage.
Yep, very true. Yeah, it gets to be there, like everyone, there are, I was kind of put on furlough, and so I basically was sitting here not doing a lot, and I'm not one to be able to sit still very long, and so I started a YouTube page while at the beginning of the pandemic, and that's been slowly gaining popularity, and I'm getting better at it as it goes along. And on that page, I talk about mostly horror movies, but also I'll talk about I'll do interviews, things like that. I'll also do basically a lot of the stuff that I did at Ain't It Cool News, but I don't cover comics because I think that now that I'm doing comics, I don't want that to get kind of ethically messy or anything. So I will promote my own comics, and if I see a cool comic that I really like, I did a video on Werewolf by Night, which was the old series by Mike Plug and all those guys, and it was it was just fun to kind of dig through those archives and go back to horror's roots. I want to look at some of the EC comics and like House of Mysteries and House of Secrets, because those were the books that really got me into comic books. As a kid, I loved horror, and I saw all the skeletons and vampires and werewolves on the covers, and I was like, "Ooh, I need to see that." And then, then I discovered superheroes, and it was all over after that. So I was a fan for life. Yes.
I'm quite the spandexy type person too.
Yeah, me too. Thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars later, in the things that I have bought through the years. Maybe I could have saved that, and I would be in a different situation, but I wouldn't have had that good comic book education that I was able to get through, just through the whole thing. So it was fun.
Nice.
I don't regret any comic book purchases that I've ever bought. So
nor should you. Nor do I. Except for that one that did unleash that army of the undead. But that's what backyards are for. You just dig out their legs and bury them. There might be. Yeah, I think that might be. Oh no, that's not the premise to Poltergeist. That's not it. they found stuff. That's what you get for building a cul-de-sac on an indigenous burial ground. That's
exactly. Yes. It was just you get what you deserve, I guess.
Yeah. But well, man, so that's cool. It sounds like you've been pretty active. And don't you have another horror comic coming out later on?
Well, Grave Transfers came out a couple weeks ago, and that's in trade. It's out from Black Mass Studios, and comic shops should have it. If they don't, they can order it on from Diamond Previews. Okay. And Pirouette, the one with Carlos Granda, it's the circus comic. It's about a clown who doesn't really want to be a clown, and she wants to run away from the circus instead of people running away to the circus. And so she gets wind that her real parents are living in the town that the circus is going to be visiting next, and so she comes up with a little a little plan to kind of escape the circus. And the clowns there don't really want her to leave. So you've got a lot of kind of menacing clowns, a lot of weird, tragic happenings. It's not a supernatural, like Pennywise sort of thing. It's more of just like it's more of just a human tragedy. But there's definitely some deep horror that has roots with that. So it's going to be coming out here. I think at the end of November, the beginning of December, and it'd be the perfect gift for that ghoulish person in your life, I guess. So
good stuffing stalker.
Yes, definitely.
Pick it up. It kind of reminds me of when you say like human tragedy and circus. It's not unlike what was it, the 1930s movie Freaks.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I was a huge fan of that. As a kid, I had this really morbid curiosity about the sideshow, and I remember going to the circus with my brother, and I love the movie Something Wicked This Way Comes, and it felt like I either had experiences like that, or I just saw the movie and somehow I got it integrated in my mind that there was so many creepy things there. But it was just that outsider kind of outcast lifestyle that goes on the carny kind of way that it just appeals to me. There's just a weird, it's just a weird aspect, a weird way of looking at life. There's this kind of vagabond nomad kind of way of doing it. And I've always been a bit of a rebel myself. So I just kind of go out and do, if there's something dangerous, I'd rather plow into it head on rather than just kind of run around it. So, sometimes that's good. But sometimes, you get your scars and you get your problems with that. But for the most part, it's the circus always felt like it was just full of wonder and excitement, and I really wanted to convey that in the story, and I think I did. We've got really good critical feedback from it. Guys like Jeff Darrow and Charles Soulet and guys like that were able to take a look at it, and they really liked it, and they were able to give me some great feedback. Matt Rosenberg, who's a good friend, he was a huge fan of the book and was really helpful in supporting it. So there's been a lot of really great guys in the industry who they know how much I've worked on this, and how the first issue came out a couple of years ago, and then we had some unforeseen events happen that kind of delayed the publication for the rest of it. And so this is the first time the entire story is going to be told. And so we've had a lot of contacts from fans and just critics and fans who really loved that first issue, and they wanted to know the rest of the story. And so finally the rest of the story will be out, and I can rest assured, and I can maybe start work on the sequel. I don't know. It just depends on what people take away from it. If they want to see more and they tell all their friends about it and spread the word about Pirouette, then I'd be happy to make more, because I love that character. And so does Carlos. Carlos is eager to jump back on and do that again. So
nice. Yeah, in a setting like the circus, so many things can occur. When you mentioned like the word vagabond or nomad, I instantly think of Mad Max or that Wasteland Ronin, going off to right wrongs, or maybe to wrong some rights. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's set back in the kind of like Depression era, so it's more of a not Wild West, but more of an uncharted territory. A little bit like, I don't know if you're watching Lovecraft Country, the first couple episodes of where going out on the road is a dangerous thing. You never know what you're going to find when you're going out in this. There wasn't a lot of phones. There wasn't computers to kind of alert you. The cops were not a phone call away. It was just a lot of crazy stuff happened, and you weren't able to. You just had to deal with it yourself, and you were trapped there. And I think that's the challenge to a lot of writers for horror, is just get your characters into a situation where the cops can't just swoop in and fix things, and you can't just run to the police, or you can't just run into a crowd and get lost. There's something that has to trap your character in there with that terror or whatever it is that you have. So For me, I worked that out just by setting it in the past. But in Grave Trancers, which is about basically a family that makes drugs from corpses.
Yeah,
It's more
delicious.
so. Yeah, it is. I haven't tried it yet, but I did a lot of research through the years, and it's not like this has never been tried before. And I actually, through that story, I cite stories through history about just grisly things happening, like people smoking the remains just to try to have an expansion of the mind, or how to
Taking
honor.
adrenal glands and stuff.
You had Keith Richards snorting his father's ashes. You had Tupac's crew smoking his ashes in a blunt. So it's like there's a lot of times through history where that type of human remains has been used as either mind expanding or an addictive way of doing that. And so I did a lot of research with that and kind of put that in there. I also had a couple of friends who went into rehab, so I was very conscious and I wanted to make it real, the story, a real story about addiction, not some kind of Hollywood version where it ends with, them holding a chip high and, and stuff like that. It's, some people relapse, some people have bad reactions and things like that. So it kind of is a reaction to the opioid crisis and stuff like that as well. So Grave Trancers is a fun thing, and it's fun, but it's also
It sounds fun.
It's got but it's got it is kind of fun because I had a lot of fun putting the characters together, and in the story I made it so that every member of the family had a role, and it was kind of like a processing plant where each character has this role of doing something that everything has to do with this business of making this drug out of the corpses. So someone has to be the front man and actually has to talk to the public. Someone has to actually make the drugs. Someone has to do the dirty work. And so things like that. And it was fun kind of coming up with a family that was able to put that all together to make that machine work.
Right. It sounds like, as they're going along, they're learning to be entrepreneurs.
Exactly. Yes. Times are tough right now. So people understand that kind of desperation, that everyone's trying to make a buck. And this was their way of finding a way of doing that. And it was actually based on a true story. It started out as a true story where I heard a story about South Chicago, a cemetery in South Chicago that would resell the plots of the graves and the cemeteries, and they would either bury multiple people in the same grave, or they would just resell the plots and cover up the gravestone and then put a new body in there, and then they would have a body pit in the back of their graveyard. And so I just thought that was the weirdest, coolest, grisliest, most macabre story that I've ever heard. So I was like, I'm definitely going to write a story about that one day. And Grave Trancers just came up and it worked. So it was a lot of fun.
That's why you need to pay your rent on your gravesite. Otherwise, you get evicted.
Yeah, you never know. You'll get. You can't be there forever, I guess. But
it's like, come on, decompose already. Let's go.
Yeah.
I got other people that want to use this.
Exactly. Yeah. So and as a morbid person, I always had a fascination with graveyards and cemeteries. I remember in like 6th grade writing a story that took place in a graveyard, and it was a typical slasher movie, but it definitely had roots in Grave Trancers now. But it's funny how that dumb story that I did in like study hall, in 7th and 8th grade, now it kind of morphed into this story here all these years later. So.
Yeah, well, I think that gives something to like the germ of an idea too. Mm-hmm. If it's got staying power and it keeps cooking away at you, unless you're a sociopath.
Yeah.
Then there might be some resonance where you can make it into a story or make it into a piece of art. So that's wonderful if you can have that.
Yeah, I mean, my computer is my desktop is just insane because I have all of these folders of small snippets of news headlines or lines of dialogue or images that I see or songs that inspire me. Music is huge for me. It's I for me, it's just I'm gathering all of these things, and then all of a sudden I'll hear a song, and the story will just come together just from that song because it elicits so much emotion and and feeling with that. And so to be able to kind of corral all of those ideas into one story, it's tough sometimes, but you just never know. Sometimes someday it just clicks and it all falls into place, and then there are other days that I'm just like kind of saying, how can I make this work? How can I make this cow story work? And things like that.
I know that story.
Yeah.
Those cows. Just jump over that moon already.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Music is amazing because it's one of the easiest vehicles to transport you, to convey emotion, and then bam, you're right there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like a book might take a couple pages, a couple paragraphs, a couple chapters before it can really transport you or transfix you. Same thing with like a movie. The timeline might be condensed, but you might not get into it for several minutes. By that time you could have already listened to a song and had that great emotional journey, or compel you to go, oh, time to work.
Yeah. One of the things, for example, the HBO series and all the streaming series now, people always say, just get past the first episode and you'll be into it. But some people don't have the patience to do that, and if you don't hook them by that first page or that first episode, it's just not going to work. I think that's why Game of Thrones worked so well, because they had that big cliffhanger at the ending there, and it was just such a weird, big sort of thing, and they kept on delivering that sort of thing in the first couple of seasons. And I think that things like that work, things like The Wire and all of that. But even The Wire had, I wasn't hooked on the very first episode. It took a little while. But Breaking Bad, I was in it as soon as I saw the first episode. It was just such a compelling thing, and you wondered how this guy got into this situation. And that's what to me, I would never try to make anything as not to say that I ever could make a story like Breaking Bad, but I use that as a kind of like an example or inspiration to say, like, this is how you introduce a compelling character and put him in a situation that just you can't wait until the next episode and see how the person got to that point. So I just keep things like that in mind. Just knowing that there's so many comic books out there. There's so many choices that people can make. It's either on digital or crowdfunding or in the comic shop. Just the comic book rack is just so cluttered with so many covers. It's like, who would take a chance on this weird little comic that I had? So I got to make the first issue as solid and solidly written. I got to put a lot of information in it, and I got to have a good hook and a good cliffhanger in the first issue. And if it doesn't have that, you're just not going to have anyone sticking around for a second issue, unfortunately.
Right. The it's tough in that competitive market, because you're essentially, when it comes to the print medium, you're competing for real estate on that shelf space. But at the same time, since we're talking about horror, like I kind of had this little flashback. Again, it's not because I was taking any of your natural organic drugs from your store.
Sure.
What are you doing? I'm just smoking toenails.
Yes.
But when you think back to your childhood, going into the local video store where they had the giant VHS, covers, and like everything was vying for your attention. It was what a wonderful treasure trove and library to go through. And at that time you were kind of, as a kid anyway, you're the only thing that you can judge a movie on is that cover art, that VHS cover. Even back then, music, the same thing too.
Yeah.
Getting that Ramones album, and so it's like, well, these guys look like badasses. They have long hair and jean jackets or
Yeah.
leather jackets. So what a great thing. So being part of that like menagerie, I think is awesome. Yeah, the tough thing is that staying power and getting up there and auditioning for somebody's attention and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I definitely think that with the music, I try to incorporate that as much as I possibly can. I can't write with music with words, but I will pump myself up with songs that elicit those feelings that I want to communicate, and then I'll sit down and I'll have a score on in the background or some type of soundtrack that's just no words, just music. I have epic songs of battles or sad kind of soliloquies, things like that, where it's just very something just to get you in the mood. I don't light a candle or anything, but but I do definitely set up. I have a setup and a ritual that I do to kind of get just to that point where you can really convey that raw emotion there.
Yeah.
But in Pirouette and in Grave Trancers, I also put inside there a Spotify playlist of songs, not really songs that inspired me or songs that I feel go hand in hand with some of the themes that are going on in the books. And just to get that out there, and it's just a kind of a fun little extra behind the scenes sort of thing where people can actually experience it on a different level, or maybe even see it as the way I see it, and experience it in that way. And maybe it'll bring them kind of like a further understanding of the story. And it's fun. I'm constantly adding songs to those playlists and taking songs out, and just because I'm discovering new songs that would fit perfectly. And I think that's always been a part of my process, is trying to find at least 10 to 15 songs that really do fit this tone, and then I just play it. And as I'm writing, I just kind of get in that mood. But yeah, every one of the trades has a link that they can go, and you can type it in and actually go get that Spotify playlist and sign up and listen to it while you're reading. So that sort of provides a soundtrack for it. I come from the era of The Crow and Natural Born Killers and Scorsese's movies and Quentin Tarantino's movies, where they really curate their music to fit just the movie so tightly that I just take huge inspiration from that, and this is my way of doing it. I always wanted to be a director, but it's not happened. But this is the closest way of combining sound with comics, because I think that's the thing it's missing. It's just this something going on in your ear while the story is unfolding, because it's got to be all in your head, as far as the links between panels and the type of music that's playing, or the suspense, jump scares, things like that. It's very difficult to convey in comics sometimes. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, what a great thing to share with your readers too. It's like, hey, this is what I think fits in this, and this is what I was listening to while I was writing it.
Yeah.
And what a more of a kind of a transportive type thing. Do you ever think about like doing like maybe an online listening party? It's like, hey, we'll just stream this, and you guys can just read at home, or
that would be.
He sounds like Morgan Freeman. He can read it too.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a couple of times. I actually work with it's a network called the Kings of Horror Network, and I've had some talks with the guys over there, and they actually sponsor my YouTube page, and cool. So and they post my all of my videos over there, and then I have my own page as well. So it's kind of a cross promotion sort of thing, but. They've talked about trying to do that. I think there are there's so much legal stuff that you have to kind of work with. If it's a Spotify list, I think it's okay to kind of put in your book and just say, okay, go to this Spotify list, because it's sort of like a social media account that you have. But actually playing the music and, and getting it and actually having the rights to print the pages and show the pages on the screen along with the music. I think there's so many legal hurdles that you have to jump that it's probably going to be impossible, but I love that idea. In a perfect world, I think that would be amazing.
Well, I think that's just all the more incentive to make sure that we survive this pandemic.
Yes.
We help each other, lift each other up, go to San Diego Comic-Con, set up your own panel room, and have a listening party in person.
Exactly. That would be that's a perfect setting for a thing like that. We'll all socially distance, we'll wear our masks, but we'll have a reading and it'll be great.
I can't wait to, horror fans wearing masks. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's such a weird
mask. And it's like, oh, look, there's Leatherface. Everybody's got a mask.
I've seen... They've made some really good ones. Like, they have an alien one, they have a predator one with the kind of like mandible things.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
I've got friends making those. There's ones. They're sculpting like faces off of celebrities. In awkward poses and stuff. 3D latex. Masks with filters and everything. And guess who that is? It's like, oh, it's Bruce Willis on a bad day. And somebody else walks in. It's like, oh, that's too easy. That's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's a cat's anus.
But it's I think that any way you can kind of further communicate your idea to the audience, I think I would love to try to experiment around and try to do that as much as possible. I definitely think with all of my future projects, I'm going to be putting together a soundtrack for it. That I don't own the music or anything, but I do have the Spotify account, and I can just guide people to that. And if they want to enrich their reading experience, they can go over there and listen to it while you're going through the pages. So, but yeah, it's been, and feedback from that has been pretty good as well. Although some people don't like, everyone is so critical about music these days, like whether it's legit or not. And I have a pretty expansive tastes when it comes to music. I like foreign music. I like, I'm not big on country, but every other genre, I kind of, I can kind of swallow. So I try to put that into the story as well.
Yeah, just as long as it's not the soundtrack to Cats.
No.
You're just going to make this boy cry.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, in Pirouette, there's a lot of circus style music. Just clumsy kind of piano, things like Tom Waits. It's a tragedy story, so it's going to be a lot of moody music. Whereas in Grave Trancers, it's a much more adrenaline rush, in your face kind of thing. And so there's a little bit more metal. There's a little bit more like kind of hardcore stuff going on. So it's just like movies where you're not going to put Enya in a Fast and Furious movie. It's just not going to work. So
that sounds just like a challenge.
That's true. Yeah.
Where does this fit?
Yeah. But
during the gas scene when they're gassing up and they're doing, let's take a hit off the nitrous before we put it in the tank. It's like,
sure. Okay, maybe they go into like
it's okay. We got to come down and drop.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, with everything, you got to have the tone, you got to have the right mindset behind it. And so I really do take that into consideration. I don't know if it's just because I'm as obsessive about stuff like that. But I look at the lettering, I look at the way things are colored, the way things are drawn. Some of my artists, I drive them a little nuts because I do have a specific picture in my head of what it's going to look like, and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it's amazing. It's so much better than what I had thought of. But then other times it's just a different idea. And so, you just never know what you're going to get and how you're going to develop that relationship with an artist. And so with Carlos, he and I are just in sync. Everything I tell him, and then he'll put feedback and I'm like, oh, that's so good. And then I just trust him to kind of take the information I gave him and process that and make that into an amazing looking piece. But then there are new artists that I work with that you have to develop that rapport. You just don't have that yet. And it takes a couple of issues sometimes just to kind of get that vibe. Hopefully by at least the third or fourth issue, you're in sync and you're able to kind of do that. I've had great experience with artists. I've had kind of frustrating experience with artists, but every time I'm trying to learn how, I just know it's about communication, and I think that it's something that I try to strive for, just to kind of make that better as much as I possibly can. So
that's cool. Hey, Mr. ML Miller, Mr. Mark.
Yes.
It's been amazing having you on here. Our time is just about up.
Okay.
But for everybody that's watching, go to Mark's website, mlmillerwrites.com,
Yes.
and from there you'll find your YouTube channel, right?
Definitely, yeah. That links up. I try to post on my YouTube channel at least 3 to 4 times a week. In October, I'm counting down the best in horror every day in October. I do that every year. It's a pretty popular thing, and I did it over at Ain't It Cool News, and I carried that over to ML Miller Writes. I'm also going to be doing videos for each of those reviews as well. So it's there. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on ML Miller Writes in written reviews. It'll be on a recorded review. So no matter what your format you want to see, you got that. And plus, it's a site where I update all my information about my comics as well. So you'll hear about when Pirouette is going to be in stores. I don't know the exact date. All I know is I talked to the publisher just yesterday, and he said that it's in a boat right now somewhere in the Pacific. So we're just waiting to hear when that boat shows up. So hopefully no pirates will show up and take all of the they'll see just they'll hijack a crate of Pirouette comics. That would be devastating, but who knows?
Right. That would be hilarious, just
Yes.
not for you.
Not for me. No. They can hijack some other person's comic. Just leave mine alone. Yeah.
Hijack some other comic book about circus clowns.
Exactly. Pirates and circus clowns, I guess they go hand in hand, but yeah.
It's nomadic lifestyles. I mean, look
Exactly.
at what Disney was able to do with the Pirates of the Caribbean. All you need is mascara and to act like Keith Richards.
Exactly. Yes.
So,
act drunk all the time. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah. So yeah, I really thank you so much for having me on here. It's really great. It's awesome to see you, and I'm so glad to hear things are going well with you, and this channel is amazing. I'm so glad that you got it put together, and it's got a lot of really fun stuff on there. So I can't wait to go kind of in the archives and see some of the older stuff as well.
Yeah, it's going to be treacherous. A lot of content.
That's okay.
Lots of venomous spiders and stuff.
Yeah.
Some fungus. No, yeah. Thanks so much for coming on to the show and sharing with us what you do and all the creative things that you're involved in. And it's been a pleasure. So, and to everybody out there watching us, thanks for tuning in on this Wednesday afternoon during the pandemic. And make sure you go to his website, mlmillerwrites.com. Visit his Mark's YouTube channel, and then of course pick up his books. Tourette, right? And
Pirouette, yeah.
That comes out later on this fall.
Yes, Pirouette's going to be coming out in November or early December, and Grave Trancers is in comic shops right now. Nice.
So make sure you go to your local shop and support local, and pick up Grave Trancers, and it's all from Black Mask, right?
Yep, those two are from Black Mask. Yep, and I got a couple other projects for the next year, but I can't really talk about much of them right now. But hopefully, we can, maybe we can do this again sometime, and we can talk about those as well.
Yeah, we're always open. I love chatting, so
Yes, me too.
Cool. Well, thanks again, and this is Dan Crosier with COFOH Live Undead with ML Miller. And I want to thank Sumner Twins Talent for sponsoring the StreamYard service, and to my producers, Amanda Armstrong and Stefan Santa Cruz, wherever you guys might be. All right. Have a good one, guys. And Mark, go ahead and hang out for just a minute.
Sure thing. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.